What is the purpose of IO? Inmate search procedures ensure safety, security, and prevent contraband while protecting inmate rights and dignity. 2. Who must conduct PAT searches? Uncertified officers of the same gender unless transgender intersex inmate states preference. 3. When are cross-gender PAT searches of females allowed? Only in exigent circumstances. 4. Who cannot be scanned with the body scanner? Pregnant inmates and those medically exempt. 5. Strip searches at intake require what? Probable cause or qualifying charges. 6. Who conducts body cavity searches? Licensed medical personnel at a hospital with written authorization. 7. What must be done when contraband is found? Incident report plus chain of custody. 8. IO defines contraband as what? Any unauthorized, modified, or prohibited item, including items in FS 951.22. 9. Who is subject to search under IO? Inmates, staff, visitors, vehicles entering, exiting secure perimeter. 10. Visitor refusal to be searched results in what? Visitation suspension. 11. Staff refusal to be searched results in what? Insubordination. 12. What is the purpose of IO? Inmate grievances? Provide formal method for inmates to resolve issues with at least one appeal. 13. What must be investigated and responded to within 30 days? All grievances. 14. When can a grievance be returned to inmate for correction? Multiple issues, multiple signatures, incomplete, profanity, or non-grievable matters. 15. PREA grievances cannot require what? Informal resolution or filing to an accused staff member. 16. IO. Head counts must include what for sleeping inmates? Observing chest rise fall. 17. When are formal head counts done? 17, 22, 5. 18. What happens if a count does not clear? Immediate recount, supervisor recount, emergency count. 18. What is a critical event under IO? Major incidents including injury, death, escape, fire, riots, sexual abuse, bomb threats, etc. 20. When must notifications occur? Immediately to chain of command, email within 1 hour, draft packet within 3 hours. 21. Under IO. What operational status is a full escape lockdown? OS 1, 22. What must staff do during an escape from transport? Call 911 immediately, secure remaining inmates, preserve route evidence. 23. IO. Requires what when an inmate death is discovered? Immediate EMS notification, lockdown, preserve scene, no disturbing evidence. 24. Who conducts mortality review? Responsible health authority. 25. What is the first step upon receiving a bomb threat? Initiate bomb threat checklist and notify supervisor immediately. 26. What communication devices cannot be used near a suspicious device? Radios and cell phones. 27. PREA coordinator responsibilities include what? Overseeing PREA compliance, access to records, monitoring retaliation. 28. Standard of proof for PREA investigations? Preponderance of evidence. 29. What must first responding staff do in sexual abuse allegation? Separate victim abuser, preserve evidence, prevent hygiene, notify chain. 30. Inmate visitation minimum weekly time, 2 hours. 31. Number of visitors allowed per visit, 2. 32. Visits must be scheduled how far in advance? At least 24 hours. 33. IO. What must be done before collecting evidence? Photograph or sketch evidence in place. 34. Each piece of evidence must be placed where? In separate evidence bags with OP07 completed. 35. What must begin at a crime scene? OP60 crime scene contamination sheet. 36. Use of force policy mandates what level of force? Objectively reasonable force based on Graham v. Connor. 37. Chokeholds allowed when? Only when deadly force is justified. 38. Duty to intervene means what? Officers must stop, report excessive force immediately. 39. HR. Code of conduct prohibits what? Harassment, discrimination, contraband, misuse of position, fraternization, insubordination, intoxication. 40. Employees must report what immediately? Arrests, misconduct, harassment, illegal activity. 41. FMJs requires what type of inspections? Annual inspection by June 1st and unannounced serious to violation checks. 42. How often must fire drills be conducted? Quarterly per shift. 43. Juveniles housed as adults require what? Sight and sound separation and 10-minute checks. 44. IO. Protective custody purpose. Protect inmates vulnerable to exploitation victimization. 45. How often must PC inmates be observed? Every 30 minutes, 15 minutes if on close supervision. 46. PC recreation requirement? 3 hours week. 47. IO. Administrative confinement used when? When inmate poses threat or pending disciplinary hearing. 49. Recreation rules for confinement statuses. ACAS-PC equal to 3 hours week, DC close custody equal to none. 50. Max disciplinary confinement per incident? 30 days. If you want more cards, shorter cards, most testable 50 or multiple choice conversion, just tell me I can instantly generate new sets. Absolutely here is set 2% of additional flashcards, continuing the same consolidated style. These go deeper into details, likely to be tested for a set GT level exam. If you want even more, just say more. Consolidated flashcards set 2. 51. What must be documented when probable cause or reasonable suspicion exists for a search? The articulable facts supporting PCRS. 52. How should transgender or intersex inmates be searched, according to the gender they state they prefer? 53. What must staff do before a strip search after first appearance? Ensure privacy and same gender searcher. 54. What is required during unannounced shakedowns? Irregular intervals and thorough search of living and common areas. 55. What happens to contraband that is facility property? Return to issuing department. 56. How is criminal contraband handled? Chain of custody plus law enforcement notification. 57. What issues are not grievable under IO? Court decisions, laws, outside agency actions, and anything outside ECCD control. 58. When must grievance reminder emails be sent? 21 days, 30 days, and 45 days. 59. Who handles grievance appeals? Facility commander, captain manager, final authority is chief of corrections. 60. Who must verify head counts? Shift OIC. 61. What is required for booking transportation staff during formal counts? They must conduct their own counts independent of housing. 62. What is an intermittent count? A count conducted when inmates are moving or working off housing units. 63. Timeline for drafting critical incident packet after incident concludes? Within 3 hours. 64. What must the critical event packet include? Summary, reports, witness statements, logs, rosters, evidence, timelines. 65. Who receives completed critical event packets? Chief of Corrections within 24 hours. 66. Escape OS2 is declared when? Suspicious threats or an uncleared count. 67. After hospital transport escape, what must staff preserve? Evidence along escape route. 68. Who establishes incident command post during escape response? Incident commander. 69. During inmate death response, what must not be disturbed? Knots and hangings, physical evidence, body position. 70. Who handles notification of next of kin? Investigating authority, attempts must be documented. 71. How long is property held after inmate death? 1 year. 72. First step when suspicious package received in mail? Do not handle, preserve evidence, and initiate chain of custody. 73. Standoff distance for suspicious device? Approx. 300 feet unless directed otherwise by bomb squad. 74. What form is used for bomb threat calls? OP69 bomb threat checklist. 75. PREA prohibits what regarding cross-gender viewing? Viewing inmates naked except during exigent circumstances. 76. PREA retaliation monitoring period? At least 90 days. 77. Who must be notified within 72 hours if abuse occurred at another facility? The facility where the abuse allegedly occurred. 78. Inmates receive PREA education when? At intake and again within 30 days. 79. What must staff avoid asking during sexual abuse allegation response? Questions that could compromise criminal investigation. Do not question suspect witnesses. 80. What must victims be prevented from doing? Bathing, brushing teeth, changing clothes, using restroom. 81. When can visits be denied? Violation of rules, intoxication, contraband attempts, threats, or recording visits. 82. Special visits require what? Division commander-manager approval. 83. Attorney-client conversations must be what? Private, no monitoring or recording by staff. 84. Who must be notified when evidence is collected? ESCO Communications Center. 85. What must the supervisor do with evidence before law enforcement takes it? Secure in gun locker and document all access. 86. What happens if law enforcement will not take evidence not linked to inmate? Dispose in contraband barrel and document. 87. Use of force. What are the Graham 5 counterfactors? Severity of offense, immediate threat, active resistance flight. 88. What forms must be completed after chemical agent use? OP4 chemical agent report plus 15-minute checks for 1 hour. 89%. 2 data video must be downloaded within what time frame? Within 3 business days. 90%. Code of conduct requires reporting what kind of relationships? Romantic relationships within chain of command or with inmates offenders. 91. When must staff report arrest or criminal charges? Immediately to supervisor. 92. What does reporting to EAP not count as? Official notification to the county. 93. FMJs requires how many hot meals per day? At least 1. 94. Maximum time between dinner and breakfast? 14 hours. 95. Controlled substances must be stored how? Double locked with perpetual inventory. 96%. PC inmates require supervisor visits how often? Twice daily. 97. PC inmates get same privileges as GP unless what? A specific, documented safety security reason exists. 98. PC restrictions must be documented where? OP2, OP11, and JMS. 99. AC is used for inmates who pose what? Immediate threat or are pending disciplinary hearings. 100. DC must not exceed what? 30 days per incident. 101. Close custody inmates receive what privileges? None, except legal visits. 102. Joint rounds for confinement units must occur how often? 3 times per week. 103. All confinement releases must be documented where? JMS plus OP2 plus OP 11/12. 104. Pregnant inmate confinement requires what? Individualized justification and review of less restrictive alternatives. Absolutely here is set 3% of additional flashcards. These go deeper into small procedural details, definitions, timelines, and form requirements that sergeant exams love to target. If you want set 4, just say more. Consolidated flashcard set 3, 105. What must an officer do if an inmate refuses a PAT search? Inmates cannot refuse. Search proceeds under supervisor guidance. 106. When must cross-gender strip searches be documented? Whenever conducted under exigent circumstances. 107. When can mass strip searches occur? Never prohibited. 108. Body scanner use on returning inmates requires what? They must enter from outside the secure perimeter or return from transport. 109. Can the body scanner be used multiple times per inmate? Yes, but never on pregnant inmates. 110. What is required prior to strip searching a transgender inmate? Ask them their preferred gender for search staff. 111. Housing shakedowns must occur how? Unannounced and at irregular intervals. 112. Visitor searches under IO. Require what consequence for refusal? Suspension of visitation privileges. 113. Canine searches are conducted under what policy? IO. 114. What is required on paper grievances? Inmate name, ID, housing issue, relief sought, signatures, and date. 115. What issues require immediate staff notification instead of grievance? Life safety issues. 116. Multiple inmate signatures on one grievance result in what? Correction returned to inmate. 117. What system is preferred for headcount documentation? Guardian RFID, JMS used only if GCC down. 118. JMS used and distractions. Inmates must be at their assigned bunks. 119. Who orders emergency headcounts? Shift OIC or above. 120. Critical incident notification email must include what inmate info? Name, number, DOB, charges, housing, brief summary. 121. Who leads scene preservation for critical events? Shift OIC until relieved by higher or law enforcement. 122. Who conducts mandatory debrief after major incidents? Shift OIC. 123. During Escape OS1, what is suspended? All movement, no entries, exits. 124. During escapes, who must be notified with escapee information? ESCO communications. 125. What teams may be activated for escape? K9 and Tactical Response Team. 126. During inmate death, what form must be initiated at scene? OP 60 Crime Scene Contamination Sheet. 127. What must supervisor document during inmate death? Discovery time, finder, medical actions, EMS arrival, unusual details. 128. Who secures booking records after inmate death? Booking supervisor. 129. What must be used to report bomb threats made verbally? OP 69 Bomb Threat Checklist. 130. If a suspicious object is located, how far must area be cleared? 300 feet minimum. 131. Can officers use radios near a suspicious device? No use landline or runner. 132. PREA requires staffing plans to ensure what? Adequate supervision and video monitoring. 133. Annual PREA report must be posted where? Publicly. 134. Blind spots in facility must be monitored by whom? PREA compliance managers. 135. PREA investigations must be what three things? Prompt, objective, and complete. 136. What must inmates be told during PREA intake? Zero tolerance, reporting methods and protections. 137. Victim advocates are provided by which local agency? Lakeview Victim Services. 138. Visitors must show what forms of ID? Driver's license, state ID, military ID, immigration ID, or passport. 139. Visits canceled within 24 hours count as what? A completed visit. 140. Who may authorize special visits? Division Commander Manager. 141. Evidence must be handled by how many people ideally? 1 limit handlers. 142. What must staff do before removing any dangerous item at crime scene? Photograph and mark it. 143. What must happen if evidence is not linked to a suspect? Request field test and document results. 144. Use of force, verbal de-escalation equals what response level? Level 2. 145. What must be done immediately after CHU deployment? Medical assessment and probe removal per protocol. 146. Officers must document what factors in any force report. Totality of circumstances and subject resistance level. 147. Code of conduct prohibits recommending what to inmates or families, lawyers or bondsmen. 148. What must be maintained for workplace behavior? Environment free from harassment, discrimination, intimidation. 149. Improper off-duty conduct can still result in what? Administrative discipline. 150. FMJs requires what for suicide monitoring? Close supervision, direct observation with documented checks. 151. Health appraisal must occur within what time frame? Within 14 days of admission. 152. How often must food service areas be inspected? Weekly. 153. PC placement must be reviewed within what time frame? 72 hours for administrative confinement holding. 154. PC inmates require what by supervisor? Twice daily checks. 155. Joint rounds for PC must include what departments? Security, medical, mental health. 156. Administrative confinement requires what documentation? Incident packet and OP2. 157. Who places a C indicator in JMS? Shift supervisor. 158. Close custody is intended for what inmates? Extreme security risks. 159. Disciplinary confinement allows what commissary access? Hygiene only. 160. Administrative segregation must be reviewed every what? Every 7 days. 161. All releases from confinement must be recorded on which forms? JMS, OP2, and OP 11/12. Absolutely here is set 4% of additional flashcards. This set dives even deeper into specific form names, timing rules, operational steps, and lesser-known details that often appear on promotional exams. If you want set 5, just say more. Consolidated flashcards set 4. 162. What form documents all persons entering a crime scene? OP 60 Crime Scene Contamination Sheet. 163. What must be done before an officer removes any weapon from a scene? Photograph and mark the item. 164. When must chain of custody begin? Immediately upon recovery of evidence. 165. Who approves body cavity searches? Written authorization from appropriate authority performed by licensed medical provider. 166. What searches require same-gender staff unless stated preference by transgender inmate? Pat, strip, and visual searches. 167. What must be documented after any search based on reasonable suspicion? The facts establishing reasonable suspicion. 168. A facility item found as contraband must be handled how? Returned to the correct department. 169. Where is unauthorized inmate property taken? Property section. 170. Who determines if criminal charges are pursued for contraband? Law enforcement. 171. What must happen if a grievance relates to retaliation? It must be fully investigated as a grievable matter. 172. What form is used for paper grievances? OP 51 request for administrative remedy. 173. When can a grievance be rejected without action? If it concerns a non-grievable issue. 174. What must occur 15 minutes prior to formal head counts? Cease movement. 175. What is required for positive inmate identification during formal counts? Scan ID card, plus match face to ID plus match to roster. 176. What happens during an emergency head count? All movement stops including visitors. 177. For critical incidents, who must not investigate the incident? Any staff involved in the incident. 178. What must accompany all critical incident videos? Video script OP6. 179. Critical event packet remains marked what until finalized? Draft. 180. For suspected escape planning, what must not be done with suspects? They must not be questioned, only isolated. 181. During OS1, what happens to visitors already inside? They are secured in place. 182. What must TV and program areas do during escape response? Shut down operations. 183. During inmate death response, what is required for BLS ACLs? Staff provide care until EMS takes over unless DNR exists. 184. Medical record after inmate death is locked by whom? Health Services Administrator. 185. How long must death-related medical records be maintained? 50 years. 186. What is the first thing to do if bomb threat is delivered in person? Stay calm and gather details without escalating situation. 187. When evacuating elevators. If a device detonates, who leads investigation? ESCO. 189. PREA requires what for inmates with limited English? Equal access to reporting and information in accessible formats. Who may not investigate PREA allegations? Staff without PREA investigator training. 191. PREA prohibits what type of activity between inmates? Consensual sexual activity. 192. What can cause indirect PREA violation discipline for staff? Failure to report known or suspected abuse. 193. PREA requires what for youthful inmates? Sight and sound separation. 194. PREA hotlines must be what? Confidential and allow anonymous reporting. 195. Visitors under age 1 count as how many visitors? 0. They do not count toward visitor limit. 196. Attorney visits may occur when? 7 days week any hour, unless security interferes. 197. Only what materials are allowed during clergy visits? Religious materials, no pens, paper, etc. 198. What must be initiated when collecting evidence? OP07 property and evidence chain of custody form. 199. Evidence lockers require what? Documentation of every opening. 200. What must supervisor request for unknown substances? Field testing and document result. 201. Use of force requires intervention in what cases? Whenever unnecessary or excessive force is observed. 202. Officers must have what before carrying to or OC? Proper authorization and current certification. 3. After force, inmates must receive what evaluation? Medical evaluation. 204. Under Code of Conduct, what is mandatory for reporting misconduct? Immediate report through chain of command or direct supervisor. 205. What activity is prohibited regarding social media? Posting inmate information or misusing position online. 206. What must staff do upon receiving illegal gratuities offers? Report immediately, cannot accept. 207. FMJs requires what type of facility sanitation? Daily floor, wall and cell checks, clean and orderly environment. 208. Clothing linens must be laundered or exchanged how often? At least twice weekly. 209. All inmates must receive how many meals per day? 3. 209. Protective custody inmates may exercise together when? When safe and approved by supervisor. 211. PC inmates must receive what weekly review? Classification review. 212. What must occur at 30 days of PC? Monthly commander review with updated OP2. 213. AC placements require what explanation to inmate? Reason for placement must be explained. 214. As is based on what? Non-disciplinary, but risk-based evaluation. 215. Close custody reviews must be done how often? Every 7 days by review team. 216. DC inmates may receive phone calls only under what exceptions? Legal or emergency purposes. 217. DC multiple violations result in what? Consecutive confinement periods. 218. SMC after mental medical segregation is ordered by whom? Health Services. 219. All confinement statuses must document what data on OP 11/12? Housing, admission reason, supervisor checks, medical rounds, interactions. 220. OP 333030 SA relate to what? Management meals. If you want set 5, say more. 221. 5 initial security measures for bomb threat. Establish secure perimeter. Remove uninvolved inmates, visitors, volunteers, lock down inmates in area. Record video of scene. Isolate witnesses for internal affairs. 222. Steps. In case of inmate death, EMS notified immediately. Scene must be locked down to prevent contamination. Crime scene persevered. Responsible health authority conducts mortality review. Next of kin notified. Law enforcement notified immediately. 223. When can visits be denied? Violation of rules, intoxication, contraband attempts, threats, recording visits. 224. What are the Graham versus Connor factors? Severity of offense, immediate threat, active resistance flight. 225. Critical event packet includes table of contents, summary, incident report and witness, timeline, inmate information history, housing documents, shift logs, housing logs, rosters, any additional evidence or forms. 226. Issues that are grievable, policies, incidents, conditions, retaliation. 227. Critical incidents include unauthorized entry attempt, injuries or death, escapes or attempted escape, fire requiring FD response with use of tools, bomb threats, major disturbances or riots, hostage situations, use of firearms, suicide attempt with injury or loss of consciousness, sexual abuse, auto accident with injury or damage. 228. Annual pre-A training, zero tolerance policies, detecting responding to abuse, professional communication, PREA reporting obligations, cross-gender and transgender search protocols. 229. Escape from transportation, staff must call 911 immediately, provide full description and route, secure remaining inmates, preserve escape route evidence, conduct ID card head count, remain on scene until Leo arrives. Incident commander handles notifications, TRT activation status, changes medical care, scene security. 230. Non-grievable issues, court decisions, laws, probation, parole actions, issues outside ECCD control. 231. When can grievances be returned for correction? More than one issue, multiple signatures, profanity unless quoting, non-grievable issue, incomplete or inaccurate. 232. Headcount rules logged in Guardian or JMS. If Guardian is down, officers must see chest rise and fall. No inmate participation. All TVs off with inmates at assigned bunk. Shift OIC must verify every headcount. 233. What must supervisor document during inmate death? Discovery time, finder, medical actions, EMS arrival, unusual details. 234. What must employees must report immediately? Arrests, misconduct, harassment, illegal activity. 235. What is required on paper grievances? Name, ID, housing, issue, relief sought, signature, date. 236. Strip searches after first appearance, required before transfer to general population and after work assignments, contact visits and disturbances. 237. Escape from compound, immediately notify supervisor who notifies OIC, facility placed on OS1. Conduct emergency headcount, notify ECSO with information, activate K9 and TRT, begin video surveillance and preserve scene, establish incident command post, search interior and exterior. 238. Authorized items for inmates, 1 mesh bag, commissary items, 1 religious text, mail, address book, legal materials, 1 plain wedding band, radio headphones batteries, prescription glasses medical devices.